Hello! Wrist routines. Wrists and hand balancing. I think that wrist routines are really helpful. They're very beneficial. A lot of people, you may not need one after 6 months of this daily, even on days you don't do handstands. Maybe you do it twice a day or at the start of your handstand session or at the end of it, whatever. The idea is that your hands probably haven't done this in a while, and they don't really know what to do here. Maybe this is just kind of foreign. Touching the floor might just feel weird, or your wrists don't feel so great. Strengthening the wrists, improving your ability to produce force in the stretch, as well as to control the range, right? See, I'm lifting, making this kind of a shape. Getting better at that stuff is really helpful. Spending time in the position is good. But most of all, we want to use it. We want to move the wrists, because if you don't move them, they will stop moving, and that's just science. So when you do your handstand session, shake your wrists out. Before you even get down on the floor, you can do this. Shake them. It feels good. Do whatever. Be a T-Rex. It really doesn't matter. I think shaking feels great. You can go for a minute. You can go for however long. Get some blood in there. Just easy. Just shakes them up. The next thing that we can do is we can, if you like this, you can do this kind of thing. Yeah, whatever works. A little bit of this. Back of the hands, just in case you're not quite ready to get down on the floor yet. And then when you get here, you can go one finger at a time. This is something I got from Yuri, but you want to push individual fingers into the floor. Yuri Marmerstein, professional hand balancer dude. He's more of like a performing, teaching dude. Look him up. He's awesome. I'm just pushing my fingers into the floor, just trying to get more neural afferent feedback. So there's nerve endings in here. Your hands have a lot of nerve endings. You get a lot of stimulus, and it's actually very common. You won't even hurt your wrists so bad doing repetitive stuff, because they will hurt way before you get injured. There's so much feedback, nerves and whatever, that when you're working with your hands, you're going to get all kinds of little twinges or little notifications like, hey, that's not right. So your wrists and your hands have a lot of feedback for you. And when you're hand balancing, we want our fingers to give us a lot of feedback, because we are balancing with the hands and the fingers. So individually pressing, strengthening the fingers is a good idea. If you want to throw cars in beforehand as well, that's cool. But really, a lot of what I did, and I did this every day for my first year of hand balancing, I would just lean. Just putting my hands down and leaning into different positions, maybe 10 reps, followed by a 10-second hold. So I'm leaning in and leaning out, holding for 10 seconds. Some days you might squeeze yourself out, you might pull yourself in, push out, pull into the position, kind of using the muscles around the wrist. That can be good too. That's one way you could do this. Another way that I really like is to just kind of passively move around. You're leaning, you're holding, and just doing this in a few different positions: forwards, sideways, backwards. Right now I'm on the palms, and this is probably this is the furthest range that I can get. So when I'm leaning back with my fingers pointed towards me, or my wrists, my hands supinated, because it's like you're holding soup. This is pretty much the farthest I'm going to get. But those different positions, and then also a cool thing that you could throw in as well is first knuckle push-ups. So what you're going to do is you're going to do a push-up on your knuckles, like this. This is something you could throw in at the beginning. Just pressing through this stuff at the base of your fingers. I don't know why it's escaping me, but this meaty stuff. Push into that and lift your heel of your hand off the floor. 10 reps. it's just like strength work, less reps, and you can go farther away. So if I was like way out here, you know, this is harder, maybe full body weight, not really, that's hard. Do some of those. Another one, as we're going to get into, we did a bunch of stuff on our palms. Now what we're going to get into is stuff on the backs of the hands. This is something from one of Ito's workshops put on by his team, Zach Feiner and Johnny Sapinoso over there. You just get on the backs of your wrists and you're going to do push-ups. You can go wide. I probably feel better wide. You can get farther away with your knees, make it harder, do actual push-ups, strengthening the backs of your hands. That's a really good one. Same thing, maybe 10 reps at the beginning of a workout, 10 first knuckle push-ups, 10 dorsal wrist push-ups. Great idea. You could do a set of 20 to 30 at the end, gets a lot of blood flowing, feels great. And then also the same thing, just leaning. Again, just getting your hands on the floor, like minimal weight. I'm on my knees, and if you'll look, kind of what this looks like, I'm just in these positions like leaning and pulsing. I'm just kind of adding weight, taking weight off, adding weight, taking it off. And it's at your own comfort. Don't feel like you have to go as far as humanly possible. If it doesn't feel good for the day, ditch it. Don't go that far. But as for this position here, a little thing to note, your wrist, when you're like this, if you can see in the video, my hands are actually bent in a little bit because when you turn the wrist over into supination, your wrist, when you go like this, is not going to come straight up very far. It's going to have to come in. So your fingers will point a little bit towards the midline or the center, which is okay. And you can just kind of lean into that a bit. Also, while you're on the backs of your wrists, you can make fists and just roll as far as you're comfortable. Maybe the elbows bend. Maybe your fingers open up a little. That's okay. But we can roll. So from the side, what that looks like is I'm just kind of doing a push-up on the back of my wrist like before, only I'm not coming up with my body, I'm coming up with the actual wrist. And you can do this, you can make it hard, make it easy. Do it to the side, do it in the back. Not like that, but you get the idea. Get it pointing forward, do it in a number of ways. Yeah, my wrists feel really good right now, just after doing this, so I promise it works. And then anything else that you might want to add? I mean, just getting more feedback from the floor. Anything that makes your hands feel better, like if you want to do patty cake, if you want to do some like scapula work and shoulder work, that's fine too, before hand balancing. And just before any kind of wrist movement, if you're going to be doing some floor work and your wrists are going to be all over the floor, I would advise that you get down and spend a little bit of quality time with your wrists before you do anything, because damn, it feels good. Just making stuff work nice, getting blood flowing. That's a whole other conversation about the endocannabinoid system, but this is pretty much the wrist routine that I used for my first year of hand balancing. I did this every day, and I did it probably 5 minutes tops. I would, it can get long, but try to keep it short. You don't need to warm up for your workout. Like, you don't need to warm up as a workout. Does that make sense? The workout or the skill practice, that's your session. This is not your session. So just make it short, make your wrist feel good. I did this every day for literally every day. I did handstands like every day for a year, for half an hour to an hour, and I never had any wrist problems. The first wrist problem that I encountered was landing a backflip bad. I landed on my face, and something like that. I don't really know. Yeah, so take care of your wrists. I hope this helps. Enjoy.